So this past weekend here at Woody Nook Church, we started a new series that'll take us through the summer exploring the Gospel of Mark. But as we read through this Gospel, there's chunks that we will be taking that I won't be able to get to at our Sunday morning services, but they are important to think about. And so maybe on these Wednesdays, as we think about what it means to connect and reach into one another, we'll look through these sections and see if there's things that are interesting for us. Now this past Sunday in the service, we looked at Mark 1 verses 1 through 11, but the reading plan takes us verses 1 through 1 to 20. So as we look at this, there's a couple of chunks, there's a couple of sections that I wasn't able to get to or we weren't able to explore within that Sunday service. One of those sections is talking about the testing of Jesus. It talks about how right after the baptism, Jesus is sent out into the wilderness where he's tested, much like humanity was at the very beginning, although he succeeds where we have failed. After that, Jesus goes around proclaiming the good news, telling people that God's kingdom has come and it's here. And then he equips or calls a couple of people to come to him. And that's one of the pieces I want to look at. So this is Mark chapter 1, verses 16 and following. As Jesus is walking by the Sea of Galilee, he sees Simon, who he later calls Peter, and his brother Andrew casting a net into the lake because they were fishermen. "Come, follow me," Jesus said, "and I will send you to fish for people." At once they left their nets and they followed him. Now what he's doing here is calling people who had been passed over from something earlier on, because the way that you would have chosen rabbis, or the way that rabbis chose disciples, is they saw people and they judged them based on their abilities. And as the children started to grow up, those who weren't judged to be good enough to be rabbis were passed over and then given to the other trades, and they would grow up in their own trades. So since Andrew and Peter, and later on we hear James and John, these were people that had not been chosen to be rabbis. They had been passed over. They'd been deemed as not good enough to be rabbis. And yet here Jesus comes along, and the first thing he does is invites them to be a part of his group. And this is such a great thing for us, because it means that we don't have to be the best of the best in order to be a part of God's kingdom. We don't have to work the hardest or have the most of whatever it is that we think it means to be successful. All we need to do is hear his voice and follow him. So what about you? What are some of the things that you see in this first section that maybe we didn't get to on Sunday that you find to be intriguing and important? Remember, Mark moves really, really quickly, and it's going to take a bit for us to kind of slow down and to think through all of these things. And let us know in the comments down below what you find intriguing about this book. As usual, if this has been useful for you, I'd encourage you to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Maybe ding the bell so that you'll always be notified when new ones come out.